Hi, it's Jess. Um, Whenever I start these videos, I always want to do what Meg does, and just go, "Hi, it's Meg. Hi, it's Jess." I love the way she introduces her YouTube channel videos. It's so delightfully abrupt. Like, of course people know who you are if they're watching your channel, right? I mean, maybe? I don't know. But I do feel silly going, "Hi, welcome to..." No, I'm going to go for the Meg approach. Hi, it's Jess. This is an impromptu video. You are on my bedroom floor rug right now with my camera. This is my shadow. Sorry, I can't do anything about that. The boiler is going in the background, so if you can hear noises, it is not my tummy, I promise. It does sound like someone's got a rumbly tumbly Winnie the Pooh vibes. I'm sitting under the boiler and we've all just had showers and it's quite late, so yeah. This is an impromptu video. I was making notes in my book earlier about pairing. Well, let's just start here. I had this deck out earlier, which I love. It fills up my graphic designer heart. It has so many references to the 50s, to Gucci, sort of, I suppose, the Gucci period, 50s. Like, it reminds me of the Mad Men series. Is it Mad Men? It's been a while. And it just got me thinking about like other situations or other, as I was looking through it, I was like, oh, well, that one reminds me a little bit of Mrs. Maisel, if anyone's ever seen it on, oh, that's really bad light, sorry, here. The shadows are coming in handy. Mrs. Maisel from Amazon. What was it? The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, which is a brilliant series, by the way. It's really funny. And then, yeah, the Mad Men series, a little bit of the Back to the Future series in here, the Lovecraft County, or Country, sorry, if you've seen that. That was a really big one, and then just dissolved into nothing, which was never come back, which is a shame. I think it's actually a series based on a graphic novel, so maybe that's why it ended, because the story ended, but it was so good. I think it's actually Lovecraft Country is one of those as well that feeds into Lovecraft Country. It feeds into other stories. I will find out and I will make a note of them, but this deck just has all of the 50s, sort of 60s, 50s goodness about it, and reminds me, like, this reminds me of South Pacific. This reminds me of Vertigo a little bit, the way that the man's lying in the blood, and there's an intro to Vertigo, the movie, where there's this man sort of spinning. And I just thought of all these movies that came to mind. And then I went on an absolute tangent and have a whole page of notes and started getting all my decks out and started looking through all my decks and thinking, well, these remind me of this and this reminds me, and it just went on a tangent. So this is an impromptu video about how tarot decks remind me of books, or this reminds me of Mrs. Robinson, not the money so much, but yeah. Yeah, how tarot decks sort of remind me of books or TV series. Or I know that Dawn Michelle from Boho Tarot, well, it might just be called Dawn Michelle Tarot now, I'm not sure. She did a series that related decks to books, which was genius. This is a bit like that, I suppose. See, this, I'm sure this is an actual piece of graphic design for like a movie intro or a news. I'm not sure, but I really recognize it. So if you don't know, I am also a graphic designer and love design history. So yeah, this just lights up my little designer heart. This is Thriller, right? Thriller, Thriller night. And I also think it's quite, I don't know, it's giving me Sabrina the Teenage Witch, you know, the new series. It's giving me, what was the thing that was related to? Riverdale? I don't know why. I think it is supposed to be set in a different era, isn't it? Sabrina is anyway, I'm sure of it. It's throwing me those sort of vibes as well. This reminds me of the, what's it called? There's a film with Madonna in it, and she's a baseball player. I've forgotten, but join me on my tangent, my tangent journey. This reminds me a little bit of Gotham. If you ever watched the series of Gotham, you can tell I'm not set up for this. Sorry, the shadows and the glare. We're going with it though. We're going with it. I am a human. I am a mother. I do not always have time or the inclination to search out. Sorry. This reminds me of the devil out of Book. Come on. Oh my god. It's like one of my all-time favourite movies and I've lost it. The Sanderson sisters with Bette Midler and Jessica something. Hocus Pocus, the devil out of Hocus Pocus, and they think he's the real devil and he's not, he's just a dude dressed up and he's loving the attention. This again, some sort of scene from a Hitchcock film. This reminds me of Oklahoma a little bit. I just am so in love with how many references this is pulling in through from. This reminds me of the Follies, the Ziegfeld Follies. And this obviously looks like some sort of comic from that era, comic cover or supplement that you would get in the paper. Anyway, that's where I'm starting. I might have to do this in a few videos because I have a lot of notes here. I looked at my decks in a whole other light. If you are a gamer, which I'm not a gamer, but I am in a family of gamers, so I do know some game references. This, beware if you're not a tarot person, pause the video now or skip to the next chapter, because I'm not a tarot person and this is one of those decks I got to challenge myself. The reason I got this deck is because it is based, well, it's sort of a survival mode deck, and there have been a few times where I've required that, so I got it. And I very rarely work with it because I can't really deal with the imagery. However, does this not remind you of the Pip-Boy sort of thing from Fallout? The game Fallout. I knew Fallout Shelter more because it was like the phone version. It was less zombie apocalypse and more I suppose keeping up with supply and demand of the shelter, I suppose. But yeah, this whole thing just gives me, with the little icons and the text and the colouring, gives me a whole hip boy, fallout shelter, fallout kind of aesthetic, which I think if you were into, I'm not so much, but I do feel like I need to move this because that glare is terrible. Hang on guys, bear with me. Is that better? There you go. Yeah, like I think maybe if there were less children in it, I would be more inclined to be able to, well, I would be able to deal with it more, but it's the kids that get me. But look at this old vintage TV, and even the setup, the furnishings and everything. It does look like, again, it's sort of, oh, that's similar to the Pulp, right? The hangman falling from the building. And these do actually, when I was looking at these do look like they could be made by the same, I don't know if they are, I'm pretty sure they're not. Here's the spy. Let's have a look. This is Quirk Books. Instructions by Stacey Graham. Cards illustrated by Paul Kepple and Ralph Geroni of Headcase Design. And then this one is by Todd Alcott. But they do feel like, by totally different printers, they do feel like they could have come from the same, you know what I mean? Like they're not the same, obviously, but they've got that retro slash, yeah, that retro era about them. And I feel like they're both good if you're into sort of retro aesthetic. Retro, they're both good retro options. Deck options. I mean, he does look like Cary Grant, doesn't he? I bet there's so many of you going, who the hell is Cary Grant? If you don't know who Cary Grant is, first of all, shame on you. Second of all, look him up because he is so cool. Indiana Jones, a little bit, like. Yeah, so this was the Zombie Tarot, which I need to sit with a bit more, but I need to be in the right headspace for it because it does freak me out just a little bit. I'm not a zombie person. To the point where I watched World War Z, and for the first, I think, 10 minutes of the movie, there are no zombies. But the thought of one coming onto the screen was enough to make me have a complete meltdown and leave the room. I am not a zombie person. I got tricked into watching 28 Days Later. When it first came out, someone told me, I knew nothing about it, hadn't seen it advertised or anything, and someone told me that it was a comedy, and we just went as something to do, you know, and I don't think I took a breath through the whole movie. And yeah, since then, like the scare factor, I can read horror really well. I love reading horror, but I cannot watch it. And I especially can't watch zombies. So maybe I'll do one more. I'm wondering what one to do though, because those two were quite in line with each other. I'm going to finish on two little decks. The Divine Doors. This is a really, really cute deck. Now, I have got a bit of a thing about collecting photos of doorways, or what could look like a doorway in a hedge or a stone arch, or, you know, when we're out and about. I do love collecting all these sort of portals, these images of portals. I do think there's something really special about them. This obviously links me to, I want to say it's called The 10,000 Doors of January, which I read not so long ago and loved. But looky look. How pretty, look at this. I mean, I wish the person wasn't in it, but that is just, oh, amazing. But yeah, 10,000 Doors of January. This is the one place. This is Siam Reap, isn't it? In Thailand, in Cambodia. I'm sure of it. And it is on my, it's the top place that I've always wanted to go. And now it's really, really dangerous to go there, and I really wish I could. But yeah, all these doors, all these portals, and I did consider putting my own pictures into a deck, but I don't know what I would do with them yet. I don't think I would do, this is a bit like an oracle, it's more like an affirmation, inspiration kind of deck. They're nice to pull at the end of a big reading, just to give you some sort of focus, or especially if it's been a heavy reading, like a affirmative, inspirational mantra type thing that you can take off with you after the reading. Yeah, I don't think I would do this. I don't know what I would do with it though, so I'm sort of sitting on that one a little bit, because I do feel, and there's not just me, I know quite a lot of people that are so into portals and doorways and entranceways and gates, and I do think it's that, I think it's a possibility thing, maybe. You don't know what's on the other side, and it's open to a world of possibilities until you walk through it. Maybe. If anyone has psychological input, please feel free to tell me what the deal is with the portals thing, or the gateways, or the doors. So yeah, 10,000 Doors of January for the Divine Doors deck, definitely. I'm sure most probably someone's said that already, I would imagine. But yeah, it's definitely there, isn't it? And then the other one, which is a small one, it's only, I say it's only, it's not only. I was going to say it's only got one reference from me, but it hasn't, so ignore that. I'm going to start again. This is, if I can get it out the damn box, this is the Bluebird Lenormand, and its tiny little book. But this, isn't this beautiful? And this has got this whole vintage, I don't know, like Edwardian Georgian type. Well, maybe, yeah, maybe. But for me, this is Bridgerton. And I'm a huge Jane Austen fan. I'm a huge period drama person. But I think the thing that's tying it to Bridgerton is this. Because of the Lady Whistledown's printed, I don't know what it's called, like gossip column. I feel like this is what's tying it to that for me. But in theory, you know, this could be a Jane Austen, any Jane Austen novel, insert Jane Austen novel here. I also got the feeling that someone maybe from the Gilded Age, if you've ever watched the Gilded Age, I'm not sure what channel that's on actually. I think it might be Prime. I'm not sure. But the Gilded Age, it definitely looks like the sort of deck that a lady in her social circle, you know, taking a turn about one's garden, that sort of thing, having tea, inviting people around to tea. It does feel like the sort of thing that the sisters in Pride and Prejudice, you know, what's their last name? It's always when I'm doing a video that I completely forget everything on the spot. The Bennets. It feels like the sort of thing that the Bennet sisters would have out, possibly with their mum. I think their mum would be involved. I think she's in for a bit of whimsical fancy. Yeah, it's the sort of thing that they would sit around and do, you know, to pass the time. And it does give me that vibe, that sort of era. What are these? Oh, these were the extras. The gentleman and the lady. There's two sets. There's ones that are sort of older with wigs on, and then there's two younger ones with dark hair. I've actually got another Lenormand deck coming. I'm not a big Lenormand collector because, you know, a bear is a bear and a house is a house, right? At the end of the day. But I do have, I've just treated myself to a new one, which I will, I'll unbox on the channel. And maybe do a little Lenormand video actually about the decks I do have. So yeah, this is very much like a period drama type deck. Again, this beautiful background, extended, expanded version of this. Gives me all the Elizabeth Bennet vibes, or the Lady Whistledown, or the Gilded Age, that sort of era. Anyway, part one of what might be a long series, or might not, depending on how obsessed I get with it. Because now I started thinking, I need to buy a deck, because if I bought that deck could give me that vibe, and I could actually read with that deck whilst having a, I don't know, insert Netflix binge or book binge here. So I did go off on a bit of a tangent. Why, I can never do these. Is it just me? I can't be the only person that struggles with this. Like getting it neatly in the box. Anyway, there we go. Part one of a potential series of random links between decks and media, books, TV shows, what else, games. I hope you liked it. I hope you enjoy the tangent and the rambles. Lots of love. See you soon.